Hey guys, welcome to Stampin' with Alicia. So today I am going to showcase something out of the Sale-a-bration catalog. Here are two cards I used with the same stamp set to create two completely different looks from the Delicate Details stamp set in the Sale-a-bration catalog. Now, this stamp set is free with a $50 purchase, and here are a couple of the inspiration photos. Just beautiful. I really love this stamp set. So I'm going to make, since I'm only doing one day featuring this stamp set, I'm going to make two cards with you so you can see a total of 4. Now I'm going to do two cards that are similar, but you can see 4 different examples. All right, so let's see. The first thing you'll need, and I'm not going to list all the supplies because I might change my mind as we go. So for sure, we're going to need a piece of watercolor paper and a piece of this is Sweet Sugar Plum cardstock. It is a top folding card. So it is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2 for a top folding card. And then I have a piece of watercolor paper that is 5 1/4 by 4. So there's a little bit of a border when we attach it. That's for one of the cards. Next, you will need a piece of Whisper White that is 5 1/4 by 4, and then a piece of Basic Black that is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2 for another top folding card. Top folding cards are my favorite. So this will be for one of the cards. So first, we're going to start with this one. So what I've gone ahead and done is, I'm going to put my card base aside, is I went ahead and got a big acrylic block, and if you need acrylic blocks, I will link them below, and laid down all my stamps that I'm going to use. Now, when you're working with photopolymer stamps that are straight and you want to make sure you get them straight, you don't want to, and I'll use this as an example, you don't want to take the stamp and put it on your block, because more than likely it's going to be crooked, because these can be shaped. They're flexible, okay? So what you want to do is just lay it on your table, face down, let it regain its natural shape, and then pick it up with your block, okay? So that's what I did with these. I used some grid paper to line them up, and then once I liked them where they were on my table, I picked them up with my block. So they're fairly evenly spaced, but they're definitely straight, okay? So I'm going to take my piece of watercolor paper, and I'm going to go ahead and take my emboss it bag and just rub all over my watercolor paper to get rid of any oils from your fingers or any static electricity. You don't want your embossing powder to stick to anything other than your stamp impression. So I'm also going to take my Versamark, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and this surface here is just a typing paper that I laminated. So when I use watercolors or my inks, where I know I'm going to go over the edge, I like to have something I can wipe off easily. Or a scratch piece of paper will work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Versamark and ink up my stamps. And you will need white embossing powder. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp down. And sorry if my head gets in the way. I just want to make sure I get this straight. Stamp down. And then press really hard. And then lift up. And since I can't see anything, I'm going to go ahead and add my embossing powder. Okay, now I can see better. I didn't get it perfectly straight, but I don't think that'll be a big deal. When I'm filming, my card is a little bit ahead, so I can't really get exactly over my card. So you guys will do a better job if you decide to recreate this. So I used my Versamark again to ink up just the top 3 stamps, because that's all I'm going to have room for, if even that. Probably just the top 2. and go ahead and space it out how I want it and stamp down. Now for this card, I got the idea from the demonstrator I actually signed under. Her name's Dina. She has a YouTube channel as well. She did this card similar. I don't remember the color she used, but I just thought it was beautiful, so I had to recreate it. So this is definitely not, this one is definitely not my idea. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and, woo, not drop it. Heat this up with my heat tool. Alright, I'm just going to wipe this to make sure there's no embossing powder. And then we are going to go ahead and watercolor over these. Zoom you in. Now, the colors I chose, for my example, I did a Peekaboo Peach. Under here, you can't really see it. And then a Watermelon Wonder. And although I think that looks okay, I kind of want to just stick to these colors. So, I chose Pink Pirouette, Blushing Bride, Sweet Sugar Plum, Rich Razzleberry. On that one I used 5 colors. On this one I'm just going to use 4. So we're going to start with the lightest, Pink Pirouette. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeeze this a couple times to get some ink on my lid. The juicier your ink pad is, the better the impression will be. So, take a paper towel. I'm going to take my paintbrush and then just go over the top. Now I know I'm using 4 colors, so I'm going to kind of judge how far I go down. So probably like that. And this color is really light, and I'm okay with that. Next, I'm taking Blushing Bride. Give it a few squeezes. Let me try again. Alright, that's a little better. Okay. Next will be Sweet Sugar Plum. I love this color. And then I'm going to use the Rich Razzleberry. Perfect. Seems like the darker colors are juicier. Ooh, I think this is going to be really dark. Yes, but I love it. And if you have an aqua painter, you can use that. I'm just using this paintbrush because it was near me. So if you want to lighten up a color, just add more water. Kind of want the transition to be a little bit lighter. You can also dab it on with your paper towel. That works too. Okay. Now with the watercolor paper, it does warp a little. So what I want to do is I'm going to use some tear and tape to adhere this to my card base. That way I can get up to the edge, and it's with a strong tape that will hold it down. Okay, take my card base and go ahead and adhere this down. Okay, now for my sentiment, I'm going to use Enjoy Your Special Day out of the Dragonfly Dreams. This will be the next series I start on probably Tuesday, maybe Monday, but definitely by Tuesday. I also used a sentiment from this set here as well. Actually, you know what? I'm starting this series on Tuesday because I'm waiting for some really pretty glimmer paper that is being released. There are three more items that are being released that you could earn for free with a $50 purchase. So I'll introduce those Tuesday and go ahead and start the series Tuesday. So anyway, something to look forward to. So I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of black cardstock, and I have some silver glimmer paper sitting here because I want to use it. Just need to figure out how first. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss my sentiment with some white embossing powder. Alright, I've gone ahead and trimmed down my sentiment. I don't want it to go all the way across like this one. I love the way a black strip of paper pops on a colorful background. So that's why I'm choosing black. However, for this one, I wanted a little extra sparkle. So I'm going to use this strip that I have because this paper is beautiful and I don't want to waste any of it. And I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen and go ahead and adhere this down. I'm just going to add a small strip to the very bottom down here. And I may reinforce it with some tear and tape also. And then go ahead and adhere this down. So I think that's pretty straight. I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of tear and tape here, just to make sure that with a very textured paper like that glimmer paper, certain adhesives just won't work. And I don't know if the glue will work, but we shall see. And I'm going to go ahead and add some Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to use quite a bit. Okay, so we have these two very basic cards, but something that you can whip together really quick, and it does look like you spent a good amount of time on them. So let's go ahead and move on to our next card. Now for my next card, I'm using my Mini Misty. Now if you don't have a Mini Misty, a stamp acrylic block will work fine. You just have to be very careful that you ink it up really well, your stamps, and that hopefully you get a good impression the first time. The way the Misty comes in handy is that I can keep re-stamping my image until I get a good impression. Okay, so I've gone ahead, I placed my stamps on the door of the Mini Misty, and it just fits. And then once I stamp this, I will shift them down. And you know, with Memento ink, if you have your basic black, try that. I don't have basic black yet. I put in an order for it because I forgot to order it with my other ink. But try that and see if you get a good impression. Memento, I love Memento ink, but it can be a little temperamental where it doesn't give you the best impression the first time. And I don't think it's the blackest ink, so we'll see how this turns out. Not bad. So I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamps and then shift everything down. Alright, for my sentiment, I'm just bringing in this black cardstock, and I am using the Sealed with Love stamp set. I'm using Hello Love. And I'm going to heat emboss this in white. I wanted to create a black and white card. Alright, I'm going to set that aside because I think I'm going to trim that up. I'm just not sure how yet. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, because I don't want to flip this over because I'm afraid, I'm sure it's dry, but I'm afraid it'll smear. So I'm just going to put some snail adhesive on the back here, and then put my card base on here. Alright, so this area is kind of a big old mess, so I want something that will cover that up. However, I need to trim this a little bit. Probably should be using a trimmer on this, but We'll see. I really like that. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to pop that up on the glimmer paper. Hopefully it will stick. I'm just going to use my Tombow Mono glue. And all the supplies will be listed below, as well as links. You can't purchase this unless you choose it for free with a $50 purchase. But I know some of my customers have chose this item, so I wanted to give them some inspiration if they needed some. I think this is one of the most beautiful stamp sets that I've seen. I love the lace. It's very classy and elegant. All right. Okay, so here are the cards that I put together using the delicate details. I love this one because you really can see the details of the stamp set over the embossing. So there are those two. And then for a watercolor look, I've created these two. Love that sparkle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll stay tuned for Tuesday, where I will start the mini series for that week using the Dragonfly Dreams and the stamps and the framelits. So let me know if you have any questions. All links for products will be listed below, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.